All right, welcome to the I2 podcast. So excited to have another episode. Talk to somebody who is a growing friend of mine. We've probably only known each other for a couple of months, but sometimes, you meet people and you just feel like you've known each other for a while. And David is one of those guys. David, man, welcome to the podcast.
Josh, thank you very much for having me. Completely agree. Feel like we just kind of vibed. We hit it off, and it might be the basketball thing or the whole like I want to be you. You are a better basketball player. You're better looking.
Oh, man.
That might be it.
I think we both had in common that we wanted to be great basketball players, but whether it was God had a different plan or we just weren't gifted in that way, we took a different path. But we've got that passion, definitely.
Yeah, we both had the height thing not working for us. I had the whole gravity. The gravity thing wasn't my friend at all.
Yep. Well, I'm glad that we got connected not too long ago, and it's been fun. I mean, I want to talk about your book here in a little bit and just kind of hearing your story, what God has done. And I'd love, just for people who don't know you, maybe just to start out a little bit with your story, where you grew up, and talk about some of those hoop dreams that you had early on.
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in a small, middle of nowhere cornfield town, Pella, Iowa, right across the street from your boy, Creighton alum, Kyle Korver.
That's some great things that have come out of Pella.
Yeah, tulips, Korver, windows. That's about it.
Hey, we got a lot of those windows too. Yep.
Yeah, man. So I literally everything that I did was based on playing in the NBA. Like every waking hour, energy, mental capacity was playing in the NBA. And it continued on when I played high school in Kansas City and I played college basketball at Western Illinois. I wanted to play in the NBA, and that's really what all I poured everything into. Little did I know, I did know, but I should have realized no player from Western Illinois had ever gone to the NBA. So why was I going to be that different one? My 6'2" height, my 2-inch vertical leap probably didn't bode well for NBA scouts, but everything I did was pouring into playing in the NBA, and then I'm playing overseas, and I get the opportunity to play in a few countries, Australia, Greece, and Spain. It sounds cool and everything, but this third year in Spain, I'm in this second division Spanish league in the Basque region, northern Spain. They don't even speak Spanish. The players could care less about the game. It's like Will Ferrell, semi-pro. They just want to go party after the game, drink beers at halftime. And I get cut from this team. So not only is everything that I pour into my whole life cut, but it's also turned upside down on its head, rubbed in the dirt a few thousand times. And I have nothing going for me. So I'm like, okay, I have nothing. I have no money to my name. I come back to my parents' house in Kansas City, and excuse me, my mom's always wanted to say these motivational quotes and stuff, and it usually I was just like, come on, Mom, what this goes in one ear, out the other ear. But she was doing dishes one day, and she said, David, when one door closes, 4 open. And it's just so drastic that I was like, okay, all right, kind of different. And it just hit me. It's like everything that I had thought I'd been doing to play in the NBA, and that door that got closed, everything that I poured into the details, the extra work, the late night, everything was not to play, but it was to coach. It was to help other players along their passion, along their ability to find their potential. So everything that I thought I had wasted and lost was actually an opportunity for something so much greater. So that sparked me right there. And then I went into, I custom made some basketball. I decided I wanted to coach in the NBA. I decided I wanted to become the best shooting coach possible, because it's literally all I could do. Us Pella Iowans can only shoot.
Hey, what's in the water over there in Pella? Because everybody that comes out of Pella can shoot the ball.
It's all you can do, man. You can't live in Pella if you can't shoot. Yeah. Basketballs from China with this line down the middle, these shooting form basketballs. Had them sent, I had no idea what I was doing. Had them sent to the Oakland port, and I got in my car, drove 29 hours to Oakland, packed them up in my car, and started driving all over the country, doing camps for 7th grade girls basketball teams, anybody that I knew, basically sleeping in my car in well-lit Walmart parking lots, just anything anything to do with camp, and it kept grinding. But the great thing is I loved it. I didn't see it as a grind. I was like, this is a journey. This is an awesome journey. This is fun. This place is going to pay me $1,000 to teach them how to shoot a basketball. Are you kidding me? So I just kept going and using genuine relationship building to get another camp and start building overseas. And to the point I got to do it in seeing the world in over 50 countries, being able to do something with basketball. Wow. And then one day I'm in Australia, about 5 years later from when I started, and I get this email that says Brooklyn Nets shooting coach. And I thought it was spam. I was like, all right, whatever. But I check it out, and it is, and I give them a call, and the next week I'm the Brooklyn Nets shooting coach and helping rebuild a team that, made one of the worst trades in NBA history. It needed that rebuilding power, and took them and helped take them. I mean, obviously all the players, but helped take them from 28th in the league in three-point shooting all the way to second in the time that I was there. So I'm thinking, Josh, man, I made it. I'm in. I'm in this NBA fraternity, my dreams, everything. I got it, man. And then new coach comes in, new head coach comes in. Boop, everybody's out. Everybody's done. After the GM had basically promised me a 3-year contract extension, but everything's done. So once again, I'm thinking.
So that's real in the NBA. What people see, it's like a new coach comes in, new leadership comes in, and they just make decisions, regardless of what type of success you had.
Yeah. You bring in your boys. Yeah.
They say David who?
Yeah. You know what's the really funny thing is I have a gift, ability God's given me to build relationships and cultivate relationships. And anybody that I meet, I always want to reach out to and keep in touch with. And there was this one guy that I met at NBA Summer League a few years prior to me coaching the Brooklyn Nets. And I completely forgot to stay in touch with him. Like, I wanted to stay in touch, but I completely forgot. Like the one guy in my NBA Rolodex that I forgot. Guess who became the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets? Him. Yes.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Lesson learned.
Yeah. So there I am thinking that, man, there's my dreams. Again, another door shut. Then I remember that one door shut, 4 open for a better opportunity. So then I got to come out to Los Angeles, work out, train NBA players out here, meet an amazing, amazing wife that I'm now married to, live looking over this marina right now. Like, life is so much better here than it would have been if I was still with Brooklyn, living in the city out in New York. So it's just these closed doors are actually, my life is closed doors being actual opportunities for something greater. That pivot and go.
Come on, man. We're going to talk about pivot and go a little more. But I mean, everything from your journey, one of the things we're passionate about is seeing people use the God-given influence that he's given them to see God-sized impact wherever they are. And on this journey where we're discovering our purpose and trying to figure out who we are, you talked about a dream that you were pursuing, and then that door seemed to shut. And your mom, I mean, our mother's got all the wisdom we need summed up in a few words. One door closes, another one opens. It's like, come on, Mom, like, for real. And now it's obviously, looking back, you can see how all those things played together. But like, what was your mentality going through the process? I know, faith is important to you. Like, how important was your faith? What did you lean on? Like, how did you make that transition from pursuing your dream to now living a life where you are, more full of and probably more in the center of the purpose and plan that God has for your life?
Josh, man, that is such a great question. And I didn't become a follower of Jesus and putting him first until my senior year of college. Right when I was about done playing college basketball, a freshman on the team, I started going to this thing called Fuel, which was just a Christian fellowship get together. And I kid you not when I tell you this, like, there's a chapter about it in the book. I thought these people were on drugs. Like, I thought, like, they had so much joy. They were worshiping, singing. I was like, what is this? But there was something I had to keep coming back and figuring out what it was. Wow. And it just continued to wear on me and work on me. And it was like, this is what joy is. This is what true ultimate joy is, living for Jesus. And it's so blessed that it happened at that time before I started my venture all over the world, because I would have never been able to make it. I would have never been able to go to these other countries and have, like, I didn't know where money was coming from. I didn't know if I was sleeping on some random people's couch. that God had me on this purpose. He had me in his hands in something so much bigger. And through that whole process and then these camps that I do, so I'd see a ton of kids, a ton of people, and man, it would get wearing, it would get tiring, the grind would get wearing of doing these camps. But I just remember, like, this is not just about basketball. You were using this, David, you've been given this gift, this vehicle of basketball to show people Jesus' love. We'd always have a prayer huddle at the end, and you wouldn't believe how many times people came up to me afterwards like, oh, that was so powerful. Thank you. Can't believe you're a believer as well. And this draws people in, and people that might not get it. And then being able to work with NBA players, I've been so blessed to work with over 150 NBA players on court and working on something they're great at. I mean, they're obviously better than I am, but they know how much I care about them, how much I pour into them, and being able to show them this constant, like, the biggest thing to me is consistency. I call it relentless consistency. I'm going to show up every day with joy, with positive energy, and they see this time and time again, and it wears on them. And then it's like, man, how do you have this? What is this? What are you eating? What are you doing? Just show them Jesus.
Come on, man.
Without having to say, hey, follow Jesus. This is what you need. They know it and they feel it. So I feel like that has been my driving force. On days where I feel like, man, I don't really want to go through this day. I don't really want to get out of bed.
Right.
It's like, I've been gifted this. This is an amazing gift to share with others.
Now they look at you like you're that crazy person. They're like, why is this guy so excited? Why is he so full of joy? Why is he so passionate? Yeah. And that's one of the things, I mean, just the times that we've been able to hang out, whether it's on Zoom or talk on the phone, your passion, your energy, your joy, man, you can feel it. I know everybody listening to this podcast can feel it because it's contagious and it just oozes out of you. I love your journey because one of the things we talk about when it comes to purpose is it's about who we're becoming, not just what we're doing. And so on your journey from pursuing your dream to then, I mean, going overseas and being in a variety of situations to becoming an NBA coach, and then you get cut. It's not like you're done pursuing what God has for you. No, it's just on to the next door that God is opening for you. You start coaching some of these NBA players, and now you're not just coaching NBA players, you're coaching business leaders, and you're speaking at business conferences and in front of leaders. As you started to work with like NBA players, what did you start to learn about yourself? Maybe your gifts, you're bringing that positive energy. Because I know you're not just coaching skills, you're coaching mindset too. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, gosh, you're really good at setting up questions, man. You've done this a time or two before.
I've read some of your book.
No, man, it's the mindset is so much more important than the skill set. And these players just saw how much I cared about them, how much I poured into them, how much I really genuinely wanted them to succeed. And the biggest thing that I've seen along this journey is, and I blew it a couple times when I was young. Like, I've got stories in the book about when I was working with Joe Johnson, a 9-time NBA All-Star, when I was out in Brooklyn. I was young. I was 27 out in Brooklyn, way too young for the job that I got. And I'm throwing him through all these crazy drills. I think it's my cool drills, all those sexy drills and stuff. Yeah. And he's going through them and everything. And then at the end of it, he's a great dude, amazing leader, vet. He's like, this stuff has no relevance over what I'm going to do in the games. Like, why did we just do this? He wanted me to teach me that lesson that it's not about me. Yeah. And that's when I realized all this stuff is not about me. It's not about, hey, the paper's pointing at you help these guys become this at 3-point percentage. Because look where that took me. I got cut from that. It's not about me. It's about what I can give and how I can serve. And that's what I now try to teach these players, like, how can they serve their teammates or these business leaders? How can they best serve the people around them? And I like to do a thing with NBA players and my business leaders is looking at your hands. So I know on a podcast, we can see on this video, looking at your hands. And before this quarantine time, when we go through doors and everything and give high fives, every time you went through a door, you would say the word serve, say the word serve. So it puts you in that mindset of like, okay, it's not about me. That's good. It takes so much pressure off yourself too, but it also gives you that purpose. So every room you enter, you're thinking of how you can serve others. So now during this quarantine time, think about it. Every time you pick up your phone, you're looking at your hands. Every time you're typing, you're looking at your hands. What if you say serve? You're doing that. It just puts you in that frame of mind.
Right.
So coming back to that question about teaching NBA players mindset as well is not just about the skills on the court. I mean, anybody can teach skills. I found that there's great skills trainers, people that know the game better than I do. But how do you make them the most confident in themselves? How do you make them believe the most in themselves? How do you make them give to their teammates the most the most that they possibly can? Like that's the whole, what I call overall optimization. And we can all look at that. It doesn't just have to be basketball, but how can you be a better friend? How can you be a better husband, wife, son, daughter, like follower of Jesus? Like how can you optimize your life daily? And that's why I always like to talk about the 1%. The 1%ers. It has nothing to do with political or anything like that, but it's all about pouring into yourself 1% daily so that you can pour into others.
Yeah, that's so good. And that's one of the things I love about your book and even your podcast, the 1% podcast, is like you help people take very practical, small steps that ultimately, if you do it consistently, lead to big results. And so the idea of walking through the door and looking at your hands and saying, man, how can I serve? How can I serve? How can I serve? That starts to create a habit where you start to look around and you're saying, man, how can I serve? How can I use what God has given me to serve the people around me? I love that philosophy. And you talked about optimization. I mean, you are an optimization coach. Is that the language that you would use to describe yourself?
Yeah. You know what? I kind of gave myself that term because
I
don't
love
really
it.
know what.
Well, I love the word optimization and I love the word coach, and you put those two together and like ultimately, man, you're helping people maximize everything that they have. I'd love to. So like talk more about what's your process for helping people really optimize what they have. Like, do you have a beginning process? Do you have a starting point, an end point? Like, what does that look like for you when you sit down and start to work with people?
Yeah. So definitely there's a process to it, but it's all about customizing it and meeting them where they're at, of course. I like to find out everything about the person. First of all, I got to know everything about it. What makes them tick? What motivates them? Who they are at the core. And I use something that's called the Enneagram Ready test.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of personality tests out there, but this thing is like, I've seen it just tried and true so well that you know what type of person you are at your best, what type of person you are at your worst, and you start seeing others in a different light and not judging them. You start thinking, oh, that guy's a 2, that's a 3, that's a 4. And no one is better than the other. So I want to get to know the person so well before, so they know how much I care about them, and then structure what their goals are. Like what is your big purpose? What is your why? What is the thing that you want to do? And then figure out the how. So the why is great. I love all these talks about figure out your why. Okay, now how?
You gonna
tell
do
me
it?
How to do it.
Yeah.
So we'll create a basically what I call a breakthrough blueprint for them. And this is what I speak to companies about as well, is we're going to go through the points that you really need to enhance in your life. And we'll always start with confidence, because everything is based on the self-confidence, not the self-confidence in what the world says and the success and the swag and all that, but the true self-awareness of knowing who you are and being comfortable and confident in your own skin of who you are.
Good.
And then we'll continue to go depending on if whatever their needs are. If it's a basketball player, obviously we're going to look at their skill sets and figure out how they can reach their full potential. But everything is going to be based on there is a goal, and it's a very specific goal, just very specific. Like not I'm going to have a good career. No, it's going to be I'm going to score 29 points in the 2025 NBA All-Star game and win the 3-point shootout. Like something super specific. I'm a big believer on speaking things into existence. I have on my fridge, I have a picture of me on the Good Morning America show with the book. I have a picture of Pivot and Go at the top of the bestsellers list. All these are edited.
Come on, man.
And I have a picture of me speaking in front of 100,000 people. I mean, they're all edited in, but I'm speaking these things into existence.
Good.
So, I mean, at the core of it is just really getting people to believe in themselves, knowing what their why is, their steps of how to get there, and what their bigger purpose is than just themselves.
Yep. So talk about like your book, because I know your book kind of, the thing I liked about your book is it's more of a how to than just casting vision, even though there's a lot of vision that's cast through the stories that you tell, but you give a lot of practical answers. Give us a high level picture, pivot and go, man, what's the overall purpose of the book? And then like, what are some of the just maybe key components that maybe we can learn from? But also, man, I want to encourage people to check the book out because it's helped me. I see something. If you're just listening, not watching, we just got a little glimpse of the book cover, which I'm waiting for my my personal copy. But give us a picture of the book.
Yeah, so you talked about it earlier about building habits and building routines. Those are great. Those are really important. And most people say it takes 28 days to build a habit. There's different times. 28 days, pretty general term for it. But it's not about building habits. It's about building a lifestyle. And on on day 29, you get to make the decision. Like, you built up a habit. Now, are you going to make it your lifestyle? Or are you going to be like, you know how diets are like, 30 days, but then you're off it. Like, make it a lifestyle. And what Pivot and Go does is pivots are small mindset shifts, not big changes. Big changes are daunting and overwhelming, but they're small little pivots that change your perspective on something that can change your entire perspective on life.
That's good. That's good.
So little in the book is broken down into 29 chapters, 29 days of different mindset pivots. And they can vary from things like the get to versus the have to, the younger you mentality, like when you were 8 years old, what you dreamed of being.
Yeah.
All vote for yourself. I have one that's called snapback hats, where one of my players, Kelly Olynyk, would wear a backwards snapback hat to every workout in the summertime, and he killed it in the summertime. Like that was his thing. So there's different mindset pivots to show you how to define what your success is. It redefines it's not about what the world says success is, not about what the world says failure is. It redefines your success.
Come on, man. I love that. And like I said, I've read through a good chunk of the book, and at the end of every chapter, there's questions and there's actually action. And one of the things that you mentioned a little bit, but it sounds like you're really big on writing things down and then putting it in a place where you can see it, so that you're constantly reminded of the action steps that you're taking and the vision that's before you.
Josh, thank you. Yes, forgot to mention that. That's a big part
I love
of it.
that.
The action steps at the end, and I'm a huge believer in that, because if we don't see what our goals are, we put them at the wayside. Like, there are things that the mindset pivots that you'll write out on note cards. And I'll tell you exactly where to place them, whether it's by your coffee cup, on your fridge, on your ceiling when you wake up in the morning, different places. So you set up your environment for success. And if you're constantly reaffirming yourself and who you are, the positivity, that's who you become. Because we are the people that we talk to the most throughout the day is ourselves by far.
Yeah.
The question is, what are you feeding yourself with? Negativity, self-doubt, or positivity? So to have these mindset pivots throughout your house, like, I got them all over, man. You come into my place and they're all over the place. Like, there's just in your subconscious, you become this person, and it's not a fake, but it's who you are.
Right. So good. I was thinking, are there certain mindsets or pivots that people have in their mind, their belief system, that really are game changers, or like just consistent barriers that hold people back from where they're going? Like, are there any consistent belief systems, mindsets that if people were to pivot these, man, the opportunities, their ability to maximize who they are just significantly increases?
Yeah, for sure. And I think the main one is, I think a lot of us know this one, is the have to versus get to mentality.
That's
you
good.
Can just pivot that you don't have to do something, but you get to do it. And then another one is a big one is knowing and doing. A lot of us know stuff. A lot of us will read books and everything, but do you apply what you know? So there's certain ones that are more powerful than the other ones, but overall, in cumulation, it's It's about realizing that we all have a God-given ability within us. God's given us a gift, a specific gift for ourselves, not necessarily it might not be somebody else's. It might not be seen in the public eye as somebody else's, but we all have a gift. And the only ones that hold us back from it is ourselves.
Come on.
We can do it. I mean, I can't do that. Well,
Right.
But why? Why can't
Right.
you do it? And it's that constant, that relentless consistency of understanding that you have this gift. It's not just about you, but it's about you're doing this for something so much of a bigger purpose.
Yep. So cool. Are there any people or stories that you've worked with where you've just seen people really go to that next level, whether it's in sports, whether it's in life, like that would give us a picture of seeing this played out in somebody's life?
Yeah, we can talk about in the NBA field. Is we had a player that came when I was coaching with the Nets. His name was Sean Kilpatrick, and he'd had a few stints in the NBA and never really worked out 10-day contracts. And he was a great player at Cincinnati. So we were playing the Lakers the next night, and when he got on the 10-day call-up, and he was like, "Man, I'll do anything to make the team. I'll do whatever it takes." It's like, I basically told him, like, "Sean, you're going to make this team." Like, building this confidence into him. But now we had to figure out how to do it. So we couldn't change anything with his skill set. We couldn't change the person that he physically was, but he could change his mindset. So we sat up for hours on end in his hotel room, going through his old Cincinnati clips, even back to his high school days at White Plains, New York, where he had a Sean Kilpatrick Day named after him. Like, this is who he was. Like, this was his zone. This was his killer self of who he truly was. So continue to watch it just to put it in his brain of, that's who you are, not who the world is saying you are in this NBA failure.
Yes.
And the night when we were playing the Lakers, we were sitting in the locker room, and I remember asking him, I was like, "Hey, Sean, where are we right now?" And he looked at me confused, and he's like, "Coach, we're at Staples Center." It's like, "No, we're at Staples Center. That's where the Lakers are at. Where are we?" And then it clicked. He's like, "Oh, we're on White Plains," is what he said. So he took himself back to where he was great, the true self the self-awareness that he knew. And he came out there and he killed it, man. He came out with energy, like everything, and got an extension to the end of the season, got a 3-year deal at the end of the season, became a starter the next season.
Wow.
All because of his self-belief in himself.
Yeah.
He didn't change anything about his skill set or anything that he was. So that's a powerful story on the basketball side. But then there's also stories just about my life and how I realized that it's not about the results. It's not about what's the successes, but it's all about the journey and enjoying that journey for a much bigger purpose than yourself.
Come on, man. When I listen to you, one of the things that I feel like really just in the last couple of years I've been learning more about is the idea of self-talk. And, I always said I was a realist. And, but my self-talk, one day it hit me. I'm in the weight room and I'm working out and I'm looking at myself in the mirror. And the way I would motivate myself is I said, "Josh, you're so weak, man. Come on. You're so weak." Like that was my self-talk. And I laughed because my wife's self-talk, she might be not working out as hard. But she's like, "Oh, you're doing so great." Like that's her, like she's so positive and feeding herself in such a positive way. And it gave me a picture of not just when I'm working out, but how negative self-talk has affected me in so many different areas of life. I'll fail at something and immediately I'll be upset at myself. "Man, Josh, come on, man, you're better. Like, why would you do that?" And I start beating myself up. And over the last couple of years, I've started to try to shift the way I'm communicating to myself, and even trying to get to the place where you talk about lifestyle, where not just doing it in my head, but trying to live it out in my heart, and knowing what it feels like to, I've heard people use language like get in the flow state, or when you're acting or reacting in a way that's consistent with who God has really called you to be, not just trying to go through the motions.
Couldn't have said it better there myself. That is beautiful, man.
But that's been new for me.
Iron, baby. I love it. Yeah. And it's a game changer, huh?
Yeah. And that's why I think I've resonated so much with like just reading your book and then even just getting to know you, is because you've put language to it. You've put practical steps to it. And then, for me, I mean, you're a person of faith. And faith has been a part of your journey, and you talk about that in your book. And so I just believe, even as I work with individuals in the church, I believe that this is the type of practical teaching optimization that we need in the church to help us become and reach the purpose and potential that God has in all of our lives. It's not just for the business world. It's not just for professional athletes. It's for everyday people who want to continue to grow and develop.
Man, that's so good. And I'm going to leave you with an analogy that I learned when I was over in Israel at the Temple Mount, this beautiful Temple Mount with the Holy of Holies, like everything is right there. And it goes down below the ground. And there's these beautiful stones that make up this Temple Mount, these cornerstones, beautiful stones. And you can see them. But then also beneath the surface, there's actually stones that are even bigger, even more beautiful, but nobody can see them. So the point of it is we are all a cornerstone. Some of us might not be seen as much as others in the public eye, but we all are making a huge impact. Because if those things down below weren't there, you think everything else could stand up? No chance.
Right. That's a good word right there. So if you're listening and you know God's putting something in you and you know you've got to develop it, optimize it, maximize it, man, I want to encourage you to follow up with my man, David Nurse. Hey, you've got a podcast, you've got your book. How can people follow you? How can they get more information about you?
Yeah, thank you. The 1% podcast, you can follow all my podcasts, the interviews that I have. The book Pivot and Go is on pre-sale on Amazon and davidnurse.com. I have courses coming out of how to make your passion pivot to not just have that hustle, make money, but also do it for a purpose and something you love doing, and how to build genuine relationships, what I call the Golden 15. So that's on davidnurse.com. And then just Instagram, David Nurse NBA, or Twitter, David Nurse NBA. And either that or come out here to LA and hang.
Come on, man. Hey, sign me up. I want to get out there. We're going to get you to Omaha one of these days and have you share and help some people out. Just appreciate you, man. Love getting to know you. Love your story. Love just how you're helping me optimize what God has given me and so many people. I look forward to learning some more from you. And thanks a ton for taking the time to be on the podcast today, man. Appreciate you.
Dude, thank you for having me, man. Absolute honor and blessing. And you're really good at this. I've been on podcasts. You do a great job, man. You know how to do it.
No,
thank
man.
you very much.
Hey, I appreciate it. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. You can check out more of these episodes at abideomaha.org or wherever podcasts are shared. We say it all the time. You don't have to do everything, but God has gifted you and called you to do something. Use the influence He's given you to impact the world around you.